myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I'm an exercise and science degree holder. I'm a personal trainer and coach for 10 plus years, and I've been training in the gym for 20 plus years. And I have been, that's all, that's noteworthy really. That's it, that's my life. See you later, have a good one. No, so we're gonna do my pull workout today. This is the last pull workout of this week. This is a fat loss phase for me, the last workout of week 7 of a fat loss phase. So things are going well, progress is good. We've got 2 weeks remaining after this week, and I'm gonna take you through my pull or back biceps, do a little bit of shoulders on this day workout today. And yeah, we'll go through that, and then we'll give you tips along the way and anything else we might find important as we go, and why I make the decisions I make and the things like the such. There is a couple of changes to the workout today, so if you've been tuning in, we're going to make a couple of changes. We're going to do quite a unique exercise. We're going to add back in something that's pretty classic, but maybe a slight little tweak on it. So it should be a good workout. Gym is currently quiet, it's early morning. I don't have heaps of time. The wife requires me to be home at a certain time. If you know, you know. All right, let's go through the workout. So we start off this workout with the machine pullover. So the idea behind doing the machine pullover first is to get a little bit of work or pre-fatigue into the lats. So when I move on to some of my other movements, I can already feel them, really engage with them, because that hasn't always been a strong suit of mine. So that is, I find, to be a little bit helpful. Potential to kind of limit your strength on the follow-up lifts, but again, as long as we're going close enough to failure on all of them, that should be equal over time. And yeah, there's a reason for doing it, so I currently do it. Now this is one that I'm making addition to. So we're going single arm, kneeling, hammer strength row, or it's almost like a pull down variation. So this is quite a unique exercise. There is no plate loaded like a pull down machine here that is targeted towards the lat. So I'm going to use the hammer strength row machine and do it quite uniquely, which you'll see a little clip on here. And essentially it's going to make it like a pull down. Getting into this position also makes the resistance better as far as muscle growth goes, but also as far as our pulling muscles go. So getting into that position, I'll go through that more when we get out there, but essentially, yeah, there's multiple reasons to do that machine that way. It just looks a bit unusual, and it's not probably what the manufacturer's intended. Followed up after that, so that would be what you'd consider like a vertical pulling movement for the lats, so focusing on the lower lats. Then we focus on the upper lats with just a classic seated row. Now, as of me talking to you right now, I haven't really made a decision on which handle I'm going to use. So you'll probably see what handle I end up going with. I'll practice once I get there. I'm interested in doing potentially like an underhand straight bar seated row, or neutral grip seated row, or one of those mag grip seated rows, or something along those lines. But yeah, we will see when we get out there. Plate loaded low row, that's business as usual. This is now targeting the upper back, so that kind of goes upward as a rowing motion, targeting the traps and probably towards the upper traps. So far that's been quite good. Lean forward, plate loaded row or dual compound row. So essentially, yeah, leaning forward to kind of target a different part of the back. So it's now the lower part of the upper back. So we'll show you that as well. And then yeah, on this day, I'm also throwing in some lateral delt work with the MedX machine lateral raise. That has treated me well over the last couple of months. The progression on that has come to a really screeching halt, I think is the expression. But that can be expected sometimes in these phases, or these fat loss phases. I have been doing that with a lying elbow supported dumbbell curl. That one's really good. So that's, again, looks unusual, but it puts the position of our arm and makes us put the bicep in a stretch position, and it makes it hard in that stretch position because we're lying down. So gravity is always coming down on the dumbbell. And then I've got here seated rear delt fly or Y raise. So something for the rear delts and kind of get that upper back fired up again. And we'll see what we do when we get out there. That one, I might change that from what I've been doing, and then we shall go from there. So that'll be the back workout today. Happy days, morale is high. We've got 2 weeks remaining of the fat loss phase. So there's nothing too much that needs to be changed. So we just keep doing it, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think, yeah, you think you need to change things all the time, but ultimately we just need to keep doing what we're doing because it's getting the outcome that we want. And sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to do, just kind of let it go and just keep going. But if the progress is there at the rate that you want, you don't have to mess with anything. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's go. Machine pullover first. Let's do it. All right, machine pullover first. So the machine pullover, the goal is here to kind of, as mentioned in the intro, get a little bit of pre-fatigue into the lats. When it comes to the lats, they're a muscle that kind of attaches to the front of your arm, goes down and over your rib cage in towards your spine and your thoracic area of your spine, and then starts to head down towards your pelvis. So to come in, tuck in under here and start to head in towards your back like that, and then head down like that. Now, what that means is what it does, or its job, is to kind of pull your arm down into that position, or what we call shoulder extension. So you're coming down here this way, and it's essentially pulling your arm down, and if it could, pull it around towards the spine. So when we do our movements for the lats, we're kind of thinking, yeah, we're trying to do that. Pull the arm either down and in towards the pelvis, or if we're going horizontally, kind of wrapping in towards the spine. And that gets our lats working pretty well for us. With that said, the lats pass to attach your arm and pass the shoulder. There are a couple other muscles that do that as well, like your rear delt and the long head of your tricep. So they might contribute to movements like this, but this is one of the closest movements we can get to a lat isolation. Because every time we do like a rowing movement, a pull down, a pull up, bent over, whatever it might be, any pulling movement where we are trying to target the lats, usually the bicep is there to help flex the elbow. Here, we're going to keep a pretty similar angle at the elbow and just going through that position there. So getting us, in short, getting us a close-ish isolation exercise for the lats, but probably, I'm not sure if you can fully isolate lats. Maybe someone out there can tell me. So we go machine pullover. So this is akin to like a lat prayer. If your gym doesn't have this, this is a quite old school kind of machine. Works pretty well. But yeah, if you were to set a cable up, at a cable machine and get a bar or ropes, you might have seen that drag down like that. This is the version of that, but a machine variation. I do a lying variation as well, where I'm on my back, set the cable up there and then drag it over. That's quite nice. But today we'll go the machine pullover. So you've got this foot pedal here, allows for a good range of motion. We kind of get into position. 2 hand grips available. I initially started doing this with this handle. I switched to this handle and that felt more effective to me. Potentially, what did I think about? Maybe that is going to kind of help kind of go in towards your spine and not sort of allow your arm to actively go out in that direction, and maybe make it less long head of the tricep. So big stretch as far as your flexibility and mobility allow, and then we drag down. Stretch. Always within your own range of motion, so if you don't have the best mobility, you just go as far as you can. Control the up phase, feel that stretch. Drive down, try and squeeze those lats. Stretch. Squeeze. Kind of let off by using the pedal and let it on back. All right, let's go. Gym to ourselves, very exclusive this morning. Let's get this back workout going. All right, here we go. So here's where a little bit of the fuckery, you might call it, begins. So this is going to be, what am I going to call this? This is like a older school hammer strength row machine. And I'm going to call this like a kneeling hammer strength row / pull down or something like that. So You'll see here in a second, like obviously this is meant to be like a chest pad. You're meant to sit here, row, single arm, both can work at the same time, overhand, neutral grip, whatever. But I'm going to kneel down on the ground here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want sort of a pull down variation. So as this continues to go down this arm, it's going to allow us to pull down in this kind of direction, allowing it to be more of a lower lat kind of movement. Feels really good. One of the downsides to this particular machine in my mind is the resistance. So you can see that because the weights are over there and this is on a hinge that's here, this gets the hardest when it's about here, because now the weights are the furthest away from this hinge point, and so it's going to be the most difficult, and then it sort of gets easier the further you go back in here, and at the beginning it's easier as well. So it goes like easier, hardest, easier. So for two reasons that in this particular exercise that doesn't make sense, potentially because the lengthened position is the most valuable position for muscle growth, potentially, that's not conclusive. That would be number one, is because it's easier in a lengthened position if you're sitting here, and it gets really hard as you finish. Number two, that also doesn't match our strength for these muscles. So if you think about when you're doing pulling movements, you're never really failing out here. It's eventually you just can't get in here and finish the movement off. So this, if I was to do this conventionally or standardly, it would get hard as I start to pull. So it wouldn't match my own strength curve. It would be kind of the opposite. So for muscle growth, I believe this is a potentially not good, that hinging position, especially for this muscle group. So for those two reasons, doing this machine conventionally, I don't think's ideal, quote unquote, and maybe it's good for a variation, but that's kind of my thought on it. But when we do it like I'm doing it today, we do a kneeling variation, you'll see that resistance kind of irons itself out, and we get a really nice arm path. So this particular gym has a single arm pull down variation. I don't love it as much. It's got more of a cable setup and stuff like that. I'm more of a fan of like a plate loaded version, like what we would normally, or what we have been doing on this workout up until now, single arm plate loaded compound row. Really nice. I would have preferred like at this gym, a similar one to that, but potentially the pull down version, but not happening. So we're going to kind of improvise here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the handle, we're going to kneel down with it, and you can see straight away the resistance is now going to be the hardest at the beginning. And as I pull, it's going to get easier, which again has the potential to be very valuable for not only for muscle growth, but for this muscle group, matching the strength that we have. So making it hard where we're the strongest, easier so we can finish the movement. So that's a win on two fronts for me. All right, let's give it a whirl. I did try this last week. I quite like it. I suppose some of the key factors here, just to make sure you line yourself up with the resistance. So if we want to make this a lat dominant row, we're not kind of coming over the side, letting the arm come out. Leaning over this side, letting the arm come out to the side. We want to kind of make sure as we're finishing, it's coming nice and close to the body, not out to the side. All right, let's build up C weights and begin. All right, next up we have a seated row variation. So we've gone that, or a quick little summary on that pull down, hammer strength, kneeling row, whatever we're calling that one. Feels good, but there is a challenge getting it into position. So that is definitely going to limit the weight lifted. So potentially that one always goes in a bit of a moderate rep range. So like if I have to grab it, haul it down into position, and it's always really difficult because it's yanking me up all the time. I can't just focus on the movement. I would say that's not ideal. Could it still be good? Yeah, but I reckon if we just keep that more moderate on the rep range, so maybe 10 to 12, 10 to 15, somewhere like that, that might be always appropriate there. Never doing too much of a top set where we go, oh yeah, we'll go a heavy one for 6 to 8. Maybe that will never be good there unless I can figure out a way to get the weight into position without having to grab it, kneel down with it. But yeah, we'll leave that in the melon for the week and see if we can't figure something out over the course of the week. Anyway, that there, targeted towards the lower lats, if anything. Sort of comes like this, dips down, so it's us driving that arm down into the iliac portion, or the lower portion of the lats where we drive the arm down. Now we're thinking about driving the arm back to work the upper lats. We have a couple of options here as far as seated row grips go. What I'm thinking is either going to be with this straight bar here, reverse, nice and close to the body, boom, in that position there, or one of these mag grips into that kind of position there. Now, of recent memory, that hasn't felt very good on my wrist, being in that kind of position there, but that's been a while since I've tried it. So we'll either go something like this, shoulder width apart, underhand grip. Here, slightly lean forward for a nice big lat stretch. Pull it in nice and low, which feels good. Yeah, that should be good like that. So for this particular one, we're not thinking row too high, which almost will just become a bicep curl. We're thinking row low. So the action actually is drive the arm back, not flex the elbow. You'll get some elbow flexion, but more than anything, we want to be able to drive the arm back. So row nice and low, and see how you go. All right, so firstly, haven't done this in a little while, so I'll have to find a weight. I might have a little practice with the mag grip, see if I have a preference. They both kind of get me into a similar position, so we will find out with a bit of a heavier weight. All right, let's build it up. Okay, the stuff that is dominated by the lats done. So when it comes to lat training versus upper back training, you think about the job of the lats and their sort of where they, what we call originate and insert, where the muscle starts and where the muscle finishes. It essentially attaches to the front of your arm. This is the lat, wraps underneath your armpit, yeah, over your ribs. Part of it heads in towards the spine and then part of it down towards the pelvis. So you can then, from that, notice that the job of the arm is, lat is essentially to pull the arm in those directions. So now if we think about the upper back, and let's go specifically the traps, which are like a diamond muscle that sort of, how do you say, kind of goes out like that towards the top of your, or the bottom of your skull, sort of comes out to the side, attaches to your shoulder, your whole shoulder essentially, and then comes back in like a diamond, right? So then that job, or the job of the lat, is then to pull your whole sort of shoulder in those directions. So things like shrugs, things where the shoulder goes backwards, things where the shoulder goes backwards and down, but not as much pulling on the arm. Like obviously you're pulling the whole arm with it with these movements, but essentially it's pulling the shoulders back each time. So how we then go, okay, let's make this about the upper back and not the lats. If we take our arms away from the body, the lats want to kind of bring your arm in, and in here, we take the arms away, and then your shoulder starts to move a whole bunch more versus just the arm to get the job done. So then it becomes the upper back. So usually, on average, if we're trying to train the lats, we want to keep things somewhat in close with different grips where our arm kind of stays close to the body, kind of wraps in towards the spine and then down towards the pelvis. And then if we go upper back, we're thinking about driving the whole shoulder back. So our first movement is the plate loaded low row. This one kind of comes from low to high. So it's almost like that shrugging movement. And if anything, this is kind of focusing on towards the upper part of the traps because we're going up almost like a shrug, but it's not straight up like this. So with this, you will notice, it angles up and my arm will come away from my body. So chest supported again is not a bad thing, maybe even an ideal thing for your trap specifically, because you can use this to kind of let your shoulder blades stretch and roll over the pad and round out over, so we can get that stretch and we can get that retraction. So I'll reach over, grab the handle, sit down with it, let the shoulders roll over the pad, squeeze the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulders back, squeeze. So I'm thinking, yes, the arm is moving because I'm holding onto this handle, but I'm thinking about taking the whole shoulder, backing up, almost like this shrugging movement. All right, so we're going to focus on different parts of the upper back now. This is going to be number 1. A different variation where we change the angle but keep the arm away from the body is going to be number 2. Let's build them up. All right, next up we are right next door. The plate loaded row was just there. Now we're going to this version of a plate loaded row called a compound row. So this particular version, the reason we're doing this is because with that one you've got a chest pad that kind of restricts where you sit essentially. We want to now be able to lean forward. Sorry, I want to now be able to lean forward such that when I go to do this rowing movement, I lean forward. The resistance comes as the resistance comes, but because I'm leaning forward, it now is going to focus on a different part of the back. So the resistance is the same, but I'm changing my positioning such that it's going to work some different areas of my back, hopefully. So that, it is more about the scapulars kind of going down because I'm leaning forward. So the plate loaded low row that I just did, we kind of go up. This one here, we want to kind of have them go down a touch. So we're going to lean forward. The other thing that I get out, my handy dandy yoga blocks, because with this particular machine, it is a positive thing if you're going to use it as I've used it before for like single arm rows and stuff like that. But because I want to now lean forward into it, and I've got short legs probably, it limits the range. So essentially I'll use these yoga blocks underneath my feet to push me further away, allow me to lean forward and get into the position that I want. So I'll use the wrist straps again, strap in so grip's a non-issue, take the tension, lean forward position, squeeze shoulder blades down and back. So good resistance on this machine. Again, if we think about our hammer strength machine from earlier, where it was, if you do it conventionally, it kind of is really or easier in the beginning and then it sort of finishes really hard. This starts hard and gets easier, which matches both some more current research training in the lengthened position and making it hard in the lengthened position, as well as matching your strength curve usually on a back movement. So if you think about back movements like a conventional bent over row, when you bent over row, you're usually not failing at the end point. So I'm just not usually, I can usually get it going but can't finish the movement. So what people often do is kind of cheat to kind of get it going. Now with these kind of plate loaded machines, if they're done this way, essentially you can make it such that it's hard at the beginning because it's on a hinge, and then it gets easier as that weight essentially gets further up, like closer above the hinge point. So that makes this a good machine for that. Doesn't make other machines bad. I just think that makes sense, that it both matches where we are weak to make it easier so we can finish the movement, as also making it harder in the lengthen position, and that might have a little bit of merit. Not conclusive, but that might have a little bit of merit. Yeah, maybe a little bit more is needed to kind of figure that out perfectly, but it works as far as that strength curve aspect goes. All right, let's go. All right, next up, machine lateral raise. So this is my current delt exercise on this day. So on a couple other days per week, both my push days, and I do some lateral delt work. And on this day, because I want to focus on it, I get some more work in. So if my split goes, how should go this day's pull, lower body, no, that's not right, push, lower body pull, for a couple of different reasons. But anyway, just to focus on this reason. So it goes push, lower body pull, push, lower body pull. On both those push days, that's these two, on both those push days, I do some lateral delt work. And so that's 2 days ago now. And on this day as well, I'll do some lateral delt. And the recovery seems fine. This seems to be an appropriate way to get more volume in without jacking up those with heaps more volume on those sessions, which probably don't have too much room to do too much more on those days as far as fatigue and what I feel I can manage. So yeah, this is a way to get some extra work in. It's been 48 hours since I've done it. I don't usually get too much soreness, so this is appropriate for me. Because the day is push and not just chest or something like that, and on another day shoulders, the idea is that you get both chest, shoulders, or all three, chest, shoulders, triceps, all in the same workouts. You just don't have room for so much all the time. My workouts are long enough already, so yeah. Anyway, so machine lateral raise, this is quite a good one. It's unique in that the slight angle is not directly out to the side like you see with most of them these days, where their arms are like this and they go directly out to the side. They have one over there which I used for a different variation where I faced in, because I never really liked the standard lateral raise machine, but this one's really nice. Kind of angles slightly out in front, which as we go through and get different angles here, you'll be able to see. This brand is called a MedX one. I think it's a brand that's no longer around, but this is a really nice lateral raise machine. So elbows on the side of the pad. I've kind of set my elbow mid pad. We're driving out to the side, controlling the way down, gentle tap, out to the side. So if you think lateral delt, like we've spoken about the back today, lateral delt will be attaching the deltoid tuberosity into 3 different points. The anterior part comes into the clavicle, or the outer third of the clavicle. The lateral part comes to the acromion, or the side part of the shoulder, and the rear delt goes into the scapula. So they, if you think anterior, you're thinking like up movements like this. Lateral, you're thinking then out to the side. And then posterior, or rear delt, should I say, we go back like this and do movements like that. So when we kind of take our arm out to the side, the goal is to work the shoulder. Directly out to the side for me has always felt as if it's kind of runs into itself, like my shoulder jams up and kind of runs into itself, but out slightly in front. So even if I do dumbbell lateral raise, I don't do them directly out to the side, I do them slightly in front. And that's always felt just a little bit more effective for me. Potentially it's worthwhile mixing up those angles over time. No dramas there. If you feel like directly out to the side still suits you well, no dramas there. It's just what suits me. All right, we're also going to superset this with our bicep exercise. Let's go and check that out. All right, along with our lateral delt exercise, we're going to do our bicep work as well, or bicep exercise. So I'm going to do a lying dumbbell curl with my elbow supported on this bench. This is a variation that's unusual, but very effective, and it makes sense from 2 points. Number one is that your arm on a standard dumbbell curl, if you're just standing there, is essentially not fully stretched out, or at least part of the bicep not fully stretched out. So if I'm just standing there doing a curl like this, I don't get my arm stretched out because the bicep also passes a shoulder. We want our arm behind the level of the body. That's number one. Well, number two would be like, well, if that's the case, why don't we just do an incline dumbbell curl on a bench? And that's a very fine exercise, but that suffers from the issue of it not being hard in that stretched position because of gravity. So if you're leaning on an incline, your arm stretched behind the level of the body, it doesn't start getting hard till it goes up. So yeah, and there is some potential merit to not only getting the muscle to a stretched position or a lengthened position, but also making it hard in that lengthened position. And this is where this comes into play. So essentially you'll start on a bench, shuffle off the side, elbows on, get into this kind of bridge position here, stretch, curl, stretch, curl, stretch, curl. So yeah, that's you can see that my arm, and I'll get some side angles and stuff like that when our working sets begin. Arm or bicep comes behind the level of the body a bit, stretch through there. Because we're now lying down, gravity is coming directly down, we make it hard in that position versus like an incline curl where it wouldn't get hard till it starts coming up. We're making it hard in the stretch position. Doesn't make it, the other variations, bad. Again, all variations are good if you like standard dumbbell or barbell curls. No stress at all. You definitely use those in your rotation, but there might be some merit to throwing these in there every so often as well to make sure we're getting the muscle into a lengthened position. If that has some value, in and of itself, like if you, over the course of your whole life, if you never training career, should I say, never train muscles in the lengthened position, like will you be so much worse off? Probably not, but may as well make it as theoretically as effective as possible, especially if there's no other perceivable difference. Like if I do a dumbbell curl, I've never really liked cable curls, dumbbell curls. I've never really felt those to be super effective as far as my bicep goes, but these variations feel really good. So that's a really obvious thing for me, but in the scenario that they feel the same, but this is theoretically better, you may as well go with that. Potentially theoretically better, should I say. All right, so superset, so lateral raise, bicep curls, and we'll walk back and forth, saving us a bit of time. So that is going to allow some rest time for my biceps. This allows some rest time for my deltoids, and I can go back and forth without them messing each other up too much and save time. Let's go. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. Another week of training done. 2 weeks left of the fat loss phase, so we keep grinding on. So far, yeah, there's been some ups and downs, but that is all part of it. Energy levels, again, up and down, but we just keep going. 2 weeks left. You can pretty much do most things for 2 weeks, so stay the course. We don't have to change really anything pretty much at all. I'm increasing my steps a touch, and that's doing the trick, keeping the ball rolling as far as steps go. Don't have to touch the food for the time being, so happy with that. And yeah, we get into another week of training next week, get some good night's sleeps over the weekend, and then keep smashing it out. So happy days. Keep with it if you're in the same kind of boat. You just keep chipping away, and sometimes things don't need changing. We just need to stay consistent with them. All right, as always, guys, if you're liking the content, hit the little subscribe up here, much appreciated. If you want to watch another video, check out this bad boy here. Check out shorts for little tidbits on exercise technique and whatnot. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.